Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome back to our Five Nights at Freddy's character concept series. So in today's video, the character we're looking into is Sid the Squid. So we're going to Squid's location, their gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. Now as always, I will just state I'm not the biggest FNAF expert and everything I say in these videos isn't really linked with the FNAF lore and the FNAF universe. Just think of this as like a what if scenario and an alternate universe where we can tell a cool creepy story and we hope you enjoy it. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube as it helps out a lot and it is greatly appreciated. Also, it keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Also, do keep an eye out because we will be doing a subscriber-only FNAF live stream where we're going to make our own community character, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty, well, let's take a better look into Sid the Squid. So before we look into our character concept of Sid the Squid, let's first recap what we covered in our last video. So in the previous episode, we were introduced to the Freddy Fazbear Water Wonderland pizzeria. This was a sea life themed pizzeria with multiple ocean themed characters and attractions. The first character we were introduced to was Sam the Shark. Sam the Shark was one of the beloved characters at the Water Wonderland. They would perform up on stage for all the children and walk around and greet all the special birthday guests. But unfortunately, everything went wrong when the IT guy accidentally hacked into Sam's secret subsection menu and unlocked their hidden settings. Throughout the night, Sam tried to attack the security guard as they were instructed to do so by their programming. Fortunately, this setting would be disabled automatically as soon as it would become morning. But the moment it was nighttime, they would hunt the player all over again. So now let's take a look at the next character. This character, of course, is Sid the Squid. Hence their name, they were modelled after the mysterious colossal squid. Sid was one of the most unique and intricate animatronics to date. Their body contained a large amount of servo motors for all their 8 legs. Each leg had free motion and could be controlled by Sid. There was also a standby mode where all of their legs could move randomly while Sid was in power saving mode. At the tips of their 8 extremities were multiple magnets that would allow them to hold metal objects. As some of you have probably noticed by now, Sid is one of the rare characters that doesn't have a mouth. Considering squid typically don't have visible mouths, the engineers opted to make them a silent character and just give them 2 large eyes. So their role up on stage was that of the xylophone player. They would perform with the rest of the band as they sang their cheery birthday songs. In the past, all the animatronics didn't really play their instruments. They would just move their hands and the pre-recorded sound would just play over the speakers. But in Sid's case, they actually had the ability to play their instrument. Because they had so much motion in their arms, they could play it in real time. So Sid the Squid was definitely one of Fazbear Entertainment's most interesting looking characters. All of the employees had a running joke that Sid's arms looked like sausage links. So some workers would nickname him Sausage or Hot Dog. Now, Sid's only role wasn't just up on stage playing the xylophone. Sid was also the mascot for their very own area. This area was the Water Wonderland Sushi Bar. So at the pizzeria, of course they served their signature pizza and other classic food items. But the establishment came up with the idea for the sushi bar to appeal more to all the parents and adult guests. The workers would place Sid behind the sushi bar and give them a bunch of fake plastic knives to hold in their hands. They would move their arms around and pretend to make sushi whilst the chefs in the front made the real sushi. The sushi bar proved to be successful and was quite a hit with all the adults that didn't really feel like eating fries and chicken nuggets. When Sid was placed behind the chefs, they would typically be in their standby power saving mode. Whilst in this mode, they would always observe the chefs as they used their sharp knives to prepare all the sushi. The more Sid observed the chefs, the more he wanted to be just like them. When the restaurant would close, sometimes Sid would attempt to make their own sushi as well. He wasn't very good at it and would usually make a mess. He would always get frustrated that the plastic pretend knives wouldn't be able to cut anything. The dull plastic knives would only squash and smush all the food. If only they could use the real knives the chefs did. The knives were usually locked away for safekeeping. Considering this was a children's entertainment restaurant, management thought all the sharp objects would be best locked up. One morning when the employees opened the restaurant, they found a large mess in the sushi bar. And standing behind the bar was a filth-covered Sid stained with soy sauce and other food items. Now let's get into the incidents and accidents involving Sid the Squid. So, as Sid's fascination with the chefs and the sushi bar got greater and greater, they desperately wanted to get one of those sharp knives for themselves. When one of the chefs wasn't looking, Sid managed to swap out one of his plastic knives for a real one that was left on the bench. Excited with their new knife, they thought they'd show it off to everyone. They walked into the party area to show off their bright new shiny knife. No one could really tell they were holding a real one because it blended in with all the plastic ones they were holding. A small child approached them and held out their hand to touch Sid's many funny looking arms. Sid tapped the child's arm with the soft plastic knives, pretending it was a roll of sushi. The dull plastic knives made the child laugh as they tickled them and couldn't really harm them. Then, all of a sudden, they went to tap their arm with the real knife. Just as they drove down the extremely sharp blade, the child's mother took them by the hand and walked them away as they had to leave. That was way too close for comfort, but Sid didn't realise they had done anything wrong. All they wanted to do was show off their new knife. Later that night, Sid was once again roaming around the sushi bar. Out of the corner of his eye, they noticed that one of the chefs must have forgotten to lock up the knife cabinet. And there they were, all the sharp shiny knives standing there in a row. They could have had any one they wanted. They chose their knives and went to go show everyone their new shiny blades. But unfortunately, there weren't any guests or employees around at this hour. The only person who was here this late was the security guard. Surely they could appreciate their new knives. Sid excitedly rushes over to the security office to show the guard their new knives. But unfortunately for the guard, Sid would get too close and the sharp deadly blades they were swinging around would gravely injure them. So now let's get into the gameplay segment of the video. So in our last video, we revealed that the Water Wonderland security office was quite different to the other establishments. The office still had a left and right door, but there was also the large roller door at the end of the room that left the player wide open. They could control the roller door, but it would take a lot longer than the other doors to come down. And if the player was late to press it, the character would be able to enter the office. Sid would be able to enter the room from either the left or right door and the main roller door. So now, not only does the player have to deal with Sam the Shark, but they also have to keep an eye out for Sid the Squid. Like always, the player can keep an eye on Sid's movements through the security cameras. The player would have to take notice of when Sid would be approaching in the distance. If they can't see Sid in the darkness, they can always keep an eye out for the glints from their metal knives. When they see Sid approaching the office, they would need to shut the roller door straight away. Like always, they need to do this in time so Sid doesn't slink under the door. But whilst the roller door was in use, the left and right door would be deactivated. So the player needs to be smart and juggle between all the doors. When Sid approaches the side doors, there is a chance that the player can accidentally chop off one of their arms with the metal door. The player would need to be careful of the severed arm as it would continue to move around the room. If it gets too close, they need to duck under the table. The arm will eventually run out of power and stop. The player needs to keep doing all these tasks if they want to make it through the night. But if they struggle and slip up, they would be greeted by a classic FNAF jump scare. Now I think Sid would be a great addition to the Water Wonderland pizzeria. They are definitely one of the more unique looking characters, and they definitely offer up some new challenges and jump scares. Alrighty everyone, well that's what we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Also, do be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Sid the Squid and what other characters you'd like to see going forward. Also, do keep an eye out for the special livestream we'll be doing soon where me and the community are going to make our own FNAF character, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty everyone, well until the next video, I'll catch you later, bye.